All right. All right. It looks like we're live. Welcome, everyone, to a much belated new episode of the Phantom Zone, YouTube's premier destination
Yeah.
for all things Superman related. I am your host for this evening, Jason, aka Retrotigo, and joining me as always is my buddy Tim, aka the Comic Collector. What's going on, Tim?
What's up? I guess one good thing about being such a gap between shows is there's a lot of Superman news now.
Right. Right. So yeah, we'll just kind of dig right into some of that. So the feature for tonight will be the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank Brainiac storyline from Action Comics in the the late aughts, I guess.
Yeah, it is not too long before New 52 because I thought this leads right into New Krypton and War of the Superman and all that, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much the end of pre-New 52 Superman.
And so that's something I'm not. That's an era I'm not familiar with right now. So that was a great story to read. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. But like you were saying, we have tons of Superman-related information to divulge that most people probably already know. But being a Superman show, we thought we'd share some of it tonight. And yeah, so I can go ahead and share some of this. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was just today, Mondo, who are known for high quality pop culture, I guess, releases, a lot to do with movies and things, just released or for pre-order as part of like a Comic-Con from home type thing. Superman, the movie original motion picture soundtrack LP or 2 LP. And it comes in the cool
Wow.
splatter vinyl as well as just black vinyl, and then that's the back, and then you can see the gatefold, and it comes with some sort of Daily Planets kind of reprint type thing. So like any good music nerd, I went ahead and pre-ordered it. I believe the release is August 2021. So yeah, this was cool. I saw it pop up on some Instagram feeds, I think earlier this week. And yeah, it went on sale today.
Awesome.
I do apologize if my daughter is coming through on the audio. This is prime bedtime for her, and she is just learning what it's like to not have mom and dad around. So apologies for that. So yeah, I thought this was really cool. I really love the gatefold artwork there. I'm not sure who did the artwork. DKNG. Looks like DKNG.
I'm interested in that Daily Planet.
Yeah.
I'd love to get something like that and put it in a frame like how you see, like Lois Lane's office, like her big piece, like frame it like a real newspaper.
Right.
It'd be pretty cool.
Right. So something you may have heard about, well, not that you wouldn't have heard about this, but Injustice is getting an animated movie, and I guess this is a first sort of promotional still released from it.
I actually hadn't heard of that, but I did notice everyone was posting Injustice keys, so that makes sense.
Well, there you go.
Awesome.
I don't know when it says it's coming.
They just pump those animated movies out, though. What is it?
Yeah.
Like every other month or something?
Right. Yeah, it seems like the track for those are really shotgunned there. That's a interesting looking evil Superman we got going there. I do appreciate that they change animation styles between the animated movies.
Yeah, I know very little about that universe.
Yeah, I mean, I've played the games, so I know, roughly what the mythos there is, but I've never picked up any of the the spin-off comics or anything like that. So yeah, and then this I sent you, but it was a different link. Apparently, in 2008, there was going to be a PS3 game released that was going to, I believe, tie into a potential Brandon Ruth sequel to Superman Returns, and so this is some of the captured footage from it. And I'm not sure why this is all of a sudden coming out these days, but looks like it could have been something cool.
You ever play the game that come out with the first Ralph movie?
I don't think so. I may have.
It was an open world Superman game, but it was boring, I guess.
Right, right,
I mean, I had it and I probably flew around for 2 hours and couldn't find anything.
right.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And then finally, for the news I have is just the latest sort of McFarlane releases. There's a whole Justice League wave that has come out. I've seen, oddly enough, I've seen everyone but this Superman.
Really, I haven't seen any of them.
Target, a couple weeks ago, Target had almost the entire wave, and then I went back last week and they had none of them. So,
Did you see a Dark Side?
That he's the other one I did not see. I
Yeah,
saw.
he's like the big one.
Yeah, I think I saw Flash. I believe, I don't remember, but I was looking. I was there. They had like 4 of them, I think, and I thumbed through them, and I was like, oh no, Superman.
Did you get the Flash for your collection?
No, I've given up on collecting most Flash action figures. I mentioned
Not a
it.
lot. They had the Flash 2-pack with Red Death, and they
Yeah,
released it single, then the Injustice Flash, and now Snyder Flash.
right. I did get a few Snyder Flashes when the original Justice League was released. Took me a while to come around to his the art style for him, but yeah, I did go on a little bit of a bender when that movie was out and all the stuff was out for it. But
Did you see the brand new Superman fig they just announced? Technically not Superman, but Superman related.
No, maybe not. Maybe.
They just announced Superboy Prime.
Oh,
Yeah,
McFarlane.
yeah, McFarlane. They announced him and Buzz Lightyear of all things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, yeah, that one's pretty cool. When compared to this one.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, they released him too.
yeah, so this was the other recent Superman release besides where is he? Bizarro, which I did not get. I'm not a fan of this look for Bizarro. I don't know which multiverse it was he was from.
I think that's the one that was part of the Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Okay.
He's like a super intelligent Bizarro.
But yeah, so this is the death metal Superman, which I read some death metal, but then I fell off because I just didn't care anymore.
I got that Robin King, and I saw the rest of the wave, including the second Robin King, at my local GameStop. And the big thing that kept me from buying any of it, other than the fact that they're ugly, is the Batman is just a re-release with a guitar instead of a scythe, and I already have the scythe one.
Mm,
It's like I don't want to. You're basically paying $30 for a guitar and a Build-A-Figure piece.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
my
I
buddy.
saw right before we went live, my Google feed said that Michael B. Jordan's been confirmed to play Valzad now.
Yes.
So
And I've already seen posts on Instagram of first appearance of Valzad.
yeah, the Earth 2 book.
That is like $60 now. Tony, what's up? And my buddy Marcus is watching, apparently. Like any
What's
good
up?
music nerd. So thanks for stopping by, guys. And yeah, so that's kind of outside of comic books. That's kind of what I've been poking around with today, looking at
Have you
Superman news.
watched any more of Superman and Lois?
So I believe 4 months ago when we had our last episode of this, I was considering dropping it after the second episode, just because CW drama. it's
Yeah.
the CW drama. But I'm happy to say we picked it back up a month or so ago and started watching it again. But time being an issue, we haven't really sat. I think we've got to episode 5 maybe, and it's good. Yeah, I like it.
Episode 5 was when they went on a hiatus, and that's
Yeah.
when Supergirl. And I actually stopped watching at the hiatus and never came back until probably 2 weeks ago. I'm up to episode 8 now. I think it's decent.
Yeah.
And I've sort of seen some spoilers. Try not to pay too much attention to it, but it sounds like it's going to be getting really interesting going forward.
Okay.
So
yeah. Brad, the DC Universe geek, he I guess does reviews
yeah,
of them, and his latest thumbnail of his latest review has a picture of the Eradicator on it. So I can only assume that he's either speculating
now
or he just spoiled it for me. So
if that's true, I wonder if they're doing some sort of Death of Superman storyline. Because one hint I would throw out there is there may be another one of those Supermen. I may have already seen one. So
right.
it's pretty good. I mean, the actors are just. I saw one review. It said, I forget how they phrased it, but it was like Superman and Lois bringing the adult drama.
Yeah.
Like it's still drama, but it's not annoying and petty and childish.
Right.
So,
Right. I think my issue with that show so far was the kids. It's like,
yeah,
if it wasn't one kid lamenting about whatever his problems were, then it was the other kid lamenting about whatever his problems were.
plus like the fan in you screams, why are there two of them?
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
So,
I don't know if we talked about this in our last show or not. But I'm still interested to see if our theory comes true that maybe Jonathan's powers only work in proximity to, I forget the other kid's name.
right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because are they twins?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the last episode, and there's a scene where Lois says, when you guys are like 3.5 or something like that. So I'm
Right.
thinking they are twins.
So yeah, that that's a very plausible theory.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about recent Superman comics before we delve into the little bit older story for this evening.
I ask if you review the Authority, no spoilers, because I have mine in the mail. Coming in the mail.
Yeah. I will be honest, I liked it. So this is Superman and the Authority, one of four.
Is it basically just like Superman's version of Batman and the Outsiders? Like his little independent secret
Yes,
squad?
yes. And so far, this book only revolves around one person that he's recruiting.
Oh, okay.
And I think this first person is going to connect Superman up with, he says he's got a list that he's going down of people to join. So I assume after this, because it's only 4 issues, it'll probably pick up really quickly. But this first issue was basically Superman and what's his name? Something Black. Let's see.
Sure.
He's British. Manchester Black,
Oh, wow.
who
That's a big deal.
I don't know enough about him to know who he is, unfortunately.
Yeah. He had a bunch of bigger storylines in the 2000s.
Okay.
And I know he had a pretty big storyline with I don't know if it was Rebirth Superman or the Super Sons.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Superman. Like, for instance, do you know if they're going to continue a Superman title, or is that just going to be John's title?
What I heard several months ago was that John was going to get the Superman title and Superman would be in Action.
And then Action, I think, is going to pretty much head towards Future State, like
Probably.
the War World and Mongol.
Yeah. So Action right now. So I've caught back up with Superman and Action since Future State. I wasn't going to. I flip flopped on them both not really story wise, artwork wise,
It,
cost wise, all that kind of stuff.
that's how I felt. The artwork and the cost, and the fact the ones I picked up, I almost felt like they were still dilly dallying.
Yeah. I
So
will say I am enjoying Action Comics more so than Superman right now. But then again, Action Comics storyline is continuing, whereas the Superman storyline kind of wrapped up because it's making way for next week's release of the John solo title, I guess.
yeah,
And I don't know how solo it's going to be.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if Superman's still on World, you assume he's going to be in it.
Right.
So
But hopefully he does get his own stories. And there's something else that I was not against, but I wasn't really looking forward to at the time, but now I'm pretty excited.
cool.
Yeah. And
I,
then
I sort of
go
fell
ahead.
off with it. I picked up random issues. Like, I know I read Action 1029, but I can't remember anything about it.
Right. So Action 1029 and Superman 29, I think. There was a 2-part story. And then after that, Superman sort of continued that story. And then Action sort of veered back towards like War World stuff.
Okay.
And so Action is still very much entrenched in like the War World stuff that has minor tie-ins to I think the Future State House of L. There's like a character that shows up, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's been nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Action Annual with House of L
Yes.
again.
Yes. The Action Annual is kind of what brought me back. I went to Louisville a couple weeks ago, went by a local comic shop there, and didn't really find anything in the back issues, but kind of didn't want to leave empty handed. So I picked up the latest issue of Superman Action and Batman Superman. And then so I read through those, and again, Action was kind of the highlight for me, and then getting the annual based, I think, on your like you got it and was like, it's really good. So I was like, okay, I'll go get it.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you picked the issue up if you weren't keeping up with it, but I believe you did a video on this topic where when you open the comic, it's all sideways art.
Yeah, the Batman Superman one.
Did you get that one?
I got that one. Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, when I saw that it was like that, I watched somebody's review of it or something. I was like, oh man, it's like another one of those like sideway ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went and got that one, but I haven't kept up with this storyline of, I guess, time travel, or this alien is like putting them in different like pocket scenarios or whatever.
I think it's like the Golden Age Batman and Superman before they met, but it also has the current Batman and Superman,
right?
Too. Yeah, I hate those I hate time travel. I mean, not all time travel and like body switching. That just ain't my cup of tea.
Right. Yeah, the furthest I enjoy time travel is really kind of Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. Did you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think that's pretty much all the big news.
All right. Side note: Are you gonna pick up Blue and Gold?
Yep, it's I picked up another. There were some more books to finish some runs, like my Warlord and stuff.
Yeah.
And since I was gonna make that order, I just picked up all my new books. I think it was like 10 books I got this week, plus Action 1030 that I'd missed.
Okay.
After talking to you about it, I added it to my cart. Yeah. But yeah, Blue and Gold is probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Like,
yeah,
I love them.
So this
if I could turn my camera, you'd see figures of them.
Yeah. So this is Jurgens coming back to Booster Gold, and it's a 1 of 8.
Who does the art on it?
Ryan Sook, I think, is.
I was hoping it'd be Giffen.
Yeah, Ryan Sook. He does a pretty good job. I like it.
Like Giffen and McGuire did like the best art of those two back then.
Okay. Yeah, it's a newer, and then also Tangent, Shazam 1 of 4. Now I haven't been keeping up with Shazam either, but apparently it's from the pages of Teen Titans Academy. Go ahead.
I was saying I got that ordered too.
Yeah, I picked this up largely because I'm a big fan of Clayton Henry's artwork. I love his artwork, and there is a cameo from John in it. So
I saw you post that, and I just thought it was from a newer Superman.
Yeah, no, it's a cameo. I won't spoil the story for you, but he just kind of swoops in for a hot second and then swoops out.
So already acting like Superman.
Yeah.
Superman swoops in, saves the day, compliments you, and is like, I don't have time to talk.
Right. Boom. So that's kind of what's been going on in the world of Superman lately. Not sure. I'm sure there's tons of other stuff that has been happening. Like I think, what was it? Supergirl was revealed, her suit for the Flash movie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So that was happening. And then I did pick up the first issue of the new Supergirl comic, but I haven't read it, so I can't give any opinions on it.
Yeah, I passed on that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll get any more, but the shop that I went to, like the recent back issues were like 25% off. So I was like, oh, well, I'll go ahead and pick it up.
Just because of space, like I was going to go all in on Supergirl, and then I decided to be picky. And I think I gave you a bunch of
Yeah,
Supergirl.
you did.
So it's like the run. You remember like Supergirl showed up again in Batman and Superman, the first one.
Yeah,
Well, she got her own title then that ran to like New 52. And I think that's the run I want to concentrate on. So like it and variants that I like.
right.
Like if someone good, like a Hughes or someone does a variant of her.
Because your most recent haul from today has a whole bunch of Supergirl in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's from that run. So
And Superboy, right?
yep. Yeah, I know you was hoping I'd give up on Connor Kent, but I think I gave up every Superboy but the Connor runs.
That's all right. That's probably my slowest run fill that I'll be working on that probably for years because I always see, like you said in some of your videos, you can find early parts of certain runs all over the
Yeah,
place, or you could find the end of the run kind of all over the place, but then you're missing like all the in between for some reason.
it's somewhere in a run. It could be in the middle, and then like it switched riders and got good. It could be at the end,
Right.
but rarely is it ever the beginning is the hard to find.
Right. And so
So
that's for the 90s Superboy run, that's what I'm running into. I'm good up until, 25 or something like that, and then it's just one or two
yeah,
issues. It's like 31,
I
45.
I got lucky at a half price books. I probably found the majority of mine for a quarter in just a box.
Oh wow.
But I don't think I have like the end. Like I think it goes to issue 100.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't find the King Shark keys. I had to
Right.
buy.
Yeah. I got that one off eBay.
Yeah, like way back when I remember I had one looking like in my cart, and you bought that one, and it was like
Yeah.
that was like the one cheap one at the time. Like
Right.
but
So yeah. So I guess we can transition and start talking about the story for this evening.
I finally brought you around to some of these modern masterpieces.
Yes. So for those who haven't been keeping up with sort of my stream, I always talk about how I ended my Superman run in 1996. That was an arbitrary stopping point. And then, picked it up with Rebirth and Forward. So I'm a newcomer to all this.
So this came out in 2008. I know Jeff Johns had like a brief stint on a Superman title, and then he wrote a whole bunch of action. So I would almost tell you find out when Jeff Johns started on action
Okay.
and collect from there to New 52. And there's a lot of tie-ins, like all the Superman titles after this, Superman's not in them. And he's actually just in a miniseries that's, well, I don't want to give away the ending, but a miniseries that pretty much takes off from the last page of this book. So
Oh, is that? I think I'm continuing that here on DC Universe.
yeah,
It's like Superman one. No, I can't even remember what it is. But yes, it's you read like the first issue special, and then you go back to like action for a while, and then
yeah.
you go back to that mini. I think was
I
what you're talking
suppose
about.
I suppose there is a little gap of the ramifications of what happens here, and then all that starts.
Right.
Because then you get you probably don't have the ads in here.
No, I do
I know
not.
I saw them when we come across them, but you get a whole bunch of great Art Ross covers across the Superman titles in that
Oh
little
yeah,
period.
I have a bunch of those. Yeah, so I've
Yeah,
gone off the deep end here over the last 6 months and just started collecting. Primarily Superman, uh, and like when it goes to what is it 200 something, and then switches back to like 600 or
yeah.
whatever it is.
It's the original Superman became Adventures,
Right.
and then it just gets rid of the Adventures but keeps the same numbering.
Right. So yeah, I figured since I have only read this digitally, we can just pop up the digital version.
Cool.
And
I'm gonna
yeah,
stick this way. It makes it easier for me.
yeah, yeah. So I figure rather than going through, sort of page by page, we can just kind of talk about, because it is 5 issues.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so the general story is a Brainiac story, and then you probably know a little bit more about this. So if you want to like briefly introduce it, I guess.
I love just how, I mean, the art in this is so good. This is Gary Frank.
Right.
And look at the bottom of that first panel. Like, this is 35 years ago. It basically goes back to Brainiac uh, capturing Candor. Like, we all know about the bottle city of Candor. And just that bottom thing, like, I've never seen a Brainiac drone just shoot a thing out and it hit someone in the head like that.
Right.
And I believe that's Zod and Ursa there.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're just seeing him capture. I love the drones and the different stuff. I read a lot of Superman, but I hardly ever read it in a row, so I don't know how much of this was new, but it
Sure.
definitely feels fresh and new seeing these Brainiac drones.
Yeah, and Gary Frank's art, I mean, is just impeccable on this.
Yeah.
And continuing, he did, what was it, Secret Origin?
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I appreciate about him is he drew his Superman like Christopher Reeve.
They actually have a new book out, probably the newest of their combo. I just picked up. They did Batman Earth 3 together.
Oh, right, right.
Or Earth 1, I'm sorry, this is book 3. They did Doomsday Clock together. And of course, the Superman run, I believe, was almost all Gary Frank.
Okay.
Like, there's a good Bizarro story, there's a Legion story that all kind of happened, arc after arc here.
Right. So essentially we're seeing, like you were saying, the
He
bottles.
even has specific drones there that attack and then line up to create the circle.
Right. And then we fast forward to the Daily Planet, where we see all the usual players. And
One thing
go ahead.
that surprised me, I didn't realize that some of these characters had left.
Yeah.
It is like a reintroduction of Cat Grant and Steve Lombard, and it just sort of always feels like those people are there.
Right. And again, Frank's characterization of Lois is definitely leaning towards Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
And I also feel his Cat Grant is like the Cat Grant who was in The Adventures of Lois and Clark. He's drawn her face resembling her. I forget the actress's name, but so we're in here. Cat Grant is basically rehired to do like the entertainment column, and she's like, why I'm here. It's like to get the headlines. And Steve Lombard is here being his usual tough guy sports self.
The prototypical dumb jock.
The prototypical dumb jock. And of course, what would the Clark character be without, secretly taking him down a peg?
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about now that you've read this, how much action happens in this, but we still have the time for this characterization,
right?
And comedy,
right? And we can see, Cat trying to
seduce Clark.
Yeah, seduce Clark. Picking up old times, and Clark is quite oblivious to her moves there.
Trying to get him to look at her boobs, and
yeah,
he just stares at her face. I love this scene here. Lois is like, I bet she has TMZ stamped on her butt. And
right.
He's like, I don't see it.
Right. And I appreciate that Clark just chucks the donut straight into the trash can there.
Yeah.
So, and even in this, Gary Frank is, I believe, sort of channeling Christopher Reeve here.
Yep, the classic pulling off the tie and
Right.
glasses scene.
And then we switch to Ma and Pa Kent, which they will play in heavily towards the end of this story arc, which that's a very emotional scene we'll get to here. But yeah, it's a Brainiac drone comes down. Superman is like, what do you want this time? And we find out that the drone has not necessarily injured him, but kind of nicked him.
Yeah, that's a real interesting thing to see there. This drone managed to pinprick him.
Right. And it's just enough so that here we can see just enough that the blood can be analyzed by Brainiac himself. And so at that point, they got, Brainiac got what he needed, so the drone kind of just deactivates. And these space shots are great. I love this ship.
I love the detail they put in that you
Yeah.
don't see in a lot of spacecraft that, it is cold and this ship has, ice on it.
Right.
I thought that was a great touch.
And then this is a great scene where you can see all the previously accumulated cities of the worlds that Brainiac has basically learned from and then obliterated. And this was almost going to be the thumbnail for the video this evening.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
And then at the very end, we see Brainiac proper, I would say, sort of linked into his ship. And he's attempting to locate, other well, at this point, he's looking at, it's noted that a Kryptonian was encountered, and he's trying to locate that Kryptonian.
Yeah, and from here, some of these issues move pretty quick. There's a lot of...
All right, some of these are like, it saves where I was in place.
Oh, okay.
Oops. Technology.
It's interesting here. It's almost like his system's doubt, because it's almost like, oh, we didn't find a Kryptonian.
Yeah.
And he just changes what he's doing.
And then we have Supergirl. This era Supergirl I'm not familiar with other than her costume.
Yeah, this is the Supergirl I mentioned that it was like the real Supergirl showed up.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know exactly how they undid her dying in the Crisis, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like the real Supergirl instead, not Matrix or
right.
any of those people.
And I believe in this issue we get a lot of her side of things, given that she was on Krypton when Brainiac came, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so right here, she's basically telling Clark that, all the Brainiacs that you've encountered so far, they're just like the shells. Like his programming, shall we say, has been downloaded to these vessels, basically.
Is something we talked about that I said almost every time you read Brainiac, it's different. Sometimes he's an alien, like a Kaluan. Sometimes he's a robot.
Right.
Then after this, they had Convergence, and you find out like every Brainiac and every multiverse is a probe of like this giant Brainiac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously Supergirl is a little off-put by the notion of this drone being there, so she fries it. And we kind of get glimpses of her being sort of spirited away on Krypton.
And they even talk about that on Earth so far, she's always Supergirl because it's like she's afraid to make friendships or family that could be lost again, like she just lost with Krypton.
Right.
And Brainiac's really bringing that side of her out more again.
Right. And so here we have kind of an endearing scene between Clark and Paw. Basically, Clark's like trying to justify going after Brainiac, and his dad whips out this old trunk where he's kept mementos. And we get some past glimpses of the ball that he threw or hit halfway across town, and the shoes that he wore out, chasing or running alongside Paw in his truck.
Very Flash-esque scene.
Right. And so at the very end, Clark gives him a little horseshoe to add to his trunk. And we'll see a little bit of that later on. And then this bottom panel here is great. It's basically Lombard being Lombard. And Clark just kind of takes it.
You could see he knows it's coming and takes his glasses off ahead of time.
Oh, man. Lombard's like kind of a underrated, underused, like, I don't want to say heel necessarily, but like I really enjoy his like little when they put him in.
When they're used right, like in this story, Superman is a great supporting cast. And then even, people like Bibbo and, all those people, I enjoy them.
Yeah. And so at this point, Clark's in a ship. I'm not sure where he gets the ship.
That's what I thought when I saw it. Like, is this a ship made out of his crystals? Like,
right. So he's headed out to try to find Brainiac. And
which is a pretty bold move. He's like, screw it, I'm just gonna go find him in the universe somewhere.
Right. And so the next few pages we get some great montage scenes, I guess, of him arriving on worlds where the Brainiac drones are, and him basically taking action, as you can see in the bottom panel there. And with this one.
Yeah.
I appreciate that this story arc sort of brings out a little bit more brutal Superman. Not enough to make you like sort of question his morals or whatever. Like I still believe in him, but at this point you can see he's like frustrated,
And then I guess this is where the actual Brainiac ship shows up.
Right.
Oh no, never mind. I remember what's happening here.
Oh yeah, so he's the ship is overtaking this city, and then we get to see essentially his world killer, Brainiac's like world killer devices. He basically shoots something into the sun of the surrounding planet and triggers basically a cataclysm event.
Yep, and then this is where Brainiac takes Superman in.
Yeah, and this panel here, this top panel is I don't want to say it's almost near perfect of a panel, but like just in terms of like what I look for in art in comics, like this is great. Like we were saying, like the detail that it was put into the ship and just like the coloring, everything to me, like this whole page is what I try to look for in comics.
It's like you're looking at a Batman poster, not a Superman one, where it has that horror element of a villain.
Right.
Because even most Superman's villains ain't really like scary
Right,
necessarily. So that's what I like about it is this Brainiac seems terrifying.
right. And especially what's sort of coming up in the last uh, issue, like really hammers that point home. So now we get into part 3. We see Cat Grant's.
I'm just remembering a later scene with Cat
Yeah,
Grant now. That's funny.
she she's using her tools, shall we say, to kind of get what she needs there at the old Daily Planet.
Oh, this is the scene I'm thinking about. Never mind.
Is it?
Yeah.
And then Supergirl shows up. So one of the underlying sort of side stories is that Kat was interviewing Supergirl, I guess.
No, I
And
think she's just doing like a TMZ
right,
type spread about her, like a trash piece.
right. And then Supergirl shows up because at this point, Clark had held that information from her that he was going to go out and track down Brainiac without her. He didn't want her getting involved. And so,
I love I
go
love
ahead.
that bottom right
Yeah,
panel. It's like there's something wrong with your
yeah,
trash.
yeah. And Lois quickly shows up to sort of spirit her away before Kat uh, does real damage to her.
It shows you how concerned Supergirl is with the piece. Like she don't even know who Cat Grant is, but
Right.
she's doing a
Yeah.
piece about it.
So these next few images are very Matrix-esque in a sense, or very sci-fi.
It,
Because
it
what?
reminds me of Alien,
Yeah.
although I don't know if it really has anything to do with it. Just like the
Right.
metal tentacles.
So while Clark is laying here, presumably unconscious, he gets visions of other planets being destroyed, and then yeah, like while he has something shoved down his throat,
Yeah. And they were
and
drilling into his head successfully too.
right, he manages to wake up and take out all of these drones, and then the middle panels.
Yeah,
It's like I again, like I've read a lot of Superman, and I don't know that I've ever seen stuff this, like you were saying, horrific in a sense.
yeah. He's like puking out motor oil or
Right.
something.
And then you can see that there's others like him.
Yeah, it's like this is different. I thought that panel was interesting because we have already seen the cities, but these are almost like exceptional. I mean, I guess I'm doing a lot of assuming here. Exceptional beings
Right.
that he's just kept. What's up, man?
Sorry, my uh, DC Universe is covering the chat panel, so I apologize for getting back to some of these guys late. Oh. And yeah, at this point, one of them manages to escape somehow. Probably Brainiac lets him out.
That's what I think because you hear like Momo or something.
Right. And then Superman dispatches him. And then this is where he finds Kandor. He starts hearing Kryptonian. And so I don't have, sort of having not read most of this stuff, I don't really have the kind of emotional attachment to the bottled city of Kandor as probably a lot of other Superman fans do. But it was interesting nonetheless to sort of see that kind of the origins of it. I'd always seen it sort of, in the Fortress of Solitude, like on a pedestal or something.
Yeah, I just remember like before this, it would be something you talk about. Like, could you imagine if he ever managed to get him out? And that's something to keep in mind.
Right. And so at this point, Superman encounters Brainiac in his cocoon.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how many people that watch this are, but if you're a fan of Legion of Superheroes and you know Brainiac 5, it really adds an element to this because he through the rest of the story, Brainiac makes a point that he's Kaluan. I believe that's how you pronounce it. So, like, Brainiac 5 is 4 generations later, and these are super smart, crazy, intelligent people. And it's just interesting, even thinking about the history of them, that one of them turned into, Brainiac.
Right. And then we get probably the most shocking Brainiac reveal.
I have this panel drove me crazy because I have this figure, and I believe it was DC Essentials, and it drives me crazy because they're technically 6-inch, like other 6-inch figures, but if you put them next to other figures, it's like they're emaciated and small.
Right.
Like basically, like we're looking at here, Brainiac would be Superman, and all your other 6-inch figures would look like Brainiac.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this panel like, man, that would have been a great figure, like if they did it right.
Right. So yeah, so this is interesting for me as well. It's because I've seen many of the Brainiacs, but I had never seen this one, or I had seen this one, but I never knew where he fell into continuity.
Yeah, like I said, they always revamp. I think Brainiac's like Donna Troy, they keep trying to retell his story. Like, there's even backstories where he was a Kryptonian AI. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this is probably one of the better origins or whatever of them.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we get a few pages of the typical sort of super mind villain, and basically nothing you're going to do is going to hurt me, and he's striving for like things of perfection and stuff, and
yeah, I'm perfect in every way, everything is a part of me.
Right. And so we gotta figure out a way to beat him. So we come back to Smallville for a little bit, and storms are brewing. And I like how this kind of follows along in a sense, like this build up to something.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have, dead bird falls out of the sky, premonition.
Like, having not read this in a minute, the fact that we kept seeing the Kents, it felt weird to me until we see the end.
Right.
It was almost like, why do they keep bringing the Kents in?
Yeah. Well, that will play out here shortly. And yeah, we go back to Brainiac, and he's on his diatribes about, like you were saying, he's basically saying like he can't allow any of the information that he's been gathering to be shared.
Mm-hmm. He'd hate Facebook.
Yeah. And Superman does his best to break free, get out, make it back to his ship, and Brainiac, being both strong-minded and physically strong.
What's up, Just a Nerd 65? Good to see you.
Pulling him back in. My cursor. Up. And then again, Lombard yelling at the screen over a football game while Independence Day is about to happen outside.
Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, do sports beat writers really watch the game from their office, or
right?
Don't they go home or go to the game?
Well, I mean, if you look at his like notepad, you can kind of see like what kind of sports beat writer he is, he's very uh, loose in his note taking about the games. And here we can see all the while that Brainiac has been fighting Superman. They've been on their way basically back to Metropolis.
This is another great panel.
Yeah. Anytime this Brainiac ship shows up is like a great panel.
They always make Batmobiles and stuff. Like, get me a Brainiac ship that you could open.
Yeah.
And like the tentacles are almost like legs that prop it up.
Right.
You could prop it up different ways. That'd be amazing.
And I always look at these signs and try to see if they're like a spin-off of something.
I almost wrote down a bunch of this to quiz you. Like, I was going to be like, what type of donuts were they eating at the beginning?
Right. And then this is... Go ahead.
Real quick while we're here, for those that don't know, issue 4 here, there's actually a really valuable one that was recalled because originally they were holding bottles that just said beer.
Oh.
And if you look now, they say soda pop.
Yeah.
So that's like I mean, I might pay $100 for it. That's about how much I would value it. But I think it's like way more than that.
Oh, wow.
But if you're into like that type of recall variant thing, it's like a Superman grail.
Huh. They could have just renamed it root beer.
Yeah. To be honest, I thought that's what it said until someone said something on Instagram. I thought it just said root beer, but now soda pop.
Huh.
I don't know how close I could get.
Well, if I come across it in my digging tomorrow and I scored a secret grail, I'll let you know.
Yep. So every time you see that cover, pull it up and see what the bottle says.
Right. So basically, like I said, Independence Day happens.
In typical Superman fashion, the villain just attacks the Daily Planet.
Right.
What's up, Mike and Mr. Gretzky? Good to see you, gentlemen.
Yes. I'm sure that was a last minute quick fix.
Yeah, that's an easier recall to get Gretzky would be the Year of the Villain issues. I forget the number, but they put out 2 Supergirl and 2 Superman, like the A and B covers with Year of the Villain, and it wasn't supposed to be there yet, so they recalled them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think I made a deal and got the set of 4 for like $40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this issue starts straight into the action. Everything's exploding in typical fashion. And I love this panel here.
Yeah.
Cat Grant is pulling Jimmy, of course, Jimmy out of the way.
Poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy. And some more drones.
You really get to see Supergirl confront her fear too.
Right. And then we're back on the ship for a bit. And I'll be honest,
we've kind of covered the whole talk already.
Right. It's kind of more of the same. Brainiac's trying to convince him to essentially give him all the knowledge that he owns, right? And then basically is, I'll make this painful for your world, or painless for your world. I'll just go ahead and blow it up, basically. And then again, sort of the brutalness of the storyline, it's like Superman is not above, severing hydraulic cables and ripping it apart out of his cerebral cortex.
And you would think that this was a smart move because you see he's attached to his ship through it. So you'd think this might be like a big blow.
Right. But then, later on we come to find out that once he's almost off the ship, he gets he gets all the.
He's talking to.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's
This is
talking.
almost one bit of plot I didn't like because it's Supergirl's parents are here, but it's like you weren't on Kandor when it was took. Because they sent Supergirl away
Right.
later, and it's like, oh, we were on an outpost, and Brainiac absorbed that.
Yeah.
Almost iffy right in there.
Right. Sounds like it was a little editorial editorial liberty.
They're lining up the Supergirl, the solo stories here is what this is.
Right. I do love this panel where Clark is looking in and he's, obviously obscured by the glass.
Yeah.
And just cut to an absolutely like maniacal looking Supergirl like ripping this drone apart.
It's like her worst fears realized.
And then the two
yeah,
the yin and the yang, so to speak, like getting together to like push out the drone from the window. And then I think at this point is where we see essentially what happened.
Oh yeah, how Supergirl got sent off.
Right.
Yeah.
And back to more fighting, back to more like palm.
Yeah, Lois gets one. That's where you find out Brainiac can control a ship without the cords.
Right. And then we see Metropolis's worst nightmare. Yep. Brainiac is absorbing Metropolis.
Which really sets up a fantastic final issue. Like, a lot's going to happen in this next issue. And he's got Superman wrapped up like in a womb like we first saw Brainiac.
And then we see it, the device
Sun Destroyer.
Yeah. And then again,
there's the Kents.
The Kents. And then it all comes down to the final issue, which
I have a different cover.
Yes.
I wonder if I have a B cover. Yeah, it looks like I have the B cover.
Yeah, when I saw that cover you have somewhere when I was looking at the series, and then when I read this, yeah, it was like a different cover. Oh, I think it's, there you go.
Yeah, I'll have to look for that A cover now. That's sort of giving something away there, too.
Right. Right, that's what I was just about to say. It's like this one is much more unassuming.
Yeah.
Supergirl dragged by her hair.
The Supergirl's been caught. Metropolis has been caught. Superman's been caught. And you have a weapon that's going to destroy the sun already on the way. Oh, yeah, everyone's yelling for Superman to save them. And I think this is the really good scene. Like, I think there's a couple things, like he's absorbing Earth's knowledge, and he's like, this is a garbage,
right?
A garbage planet. And then he says to Superman, like, you're just a brute, ain't you? And Superman's like, sometimes. And then just proceeds to pummel him.
Yeah. And then, of course, Brainiac is like, you can't, like, hurt me.
This right here, he grabs Brainiac with, like, the fingers and the nodes on the head.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
And then
he visions them to the eyes. Yeah.
So now Superman's carrying two cities.
Pretty much the rest of this issue, he can't use his arms.
Yeah.
But we get the great panel here. We've mentioned the whole episode how scared she is. And in that bottom right panel, you can see the click where she quits being scared and decides to be a hero. So she's flying off to get the device that we saw on the B cover.
Right.
And this is a great way to beat Brainiac. Because we mentioned his monologue of how great he is, how in control he is. Superman blows him through the hole, through the hole, I should say, and lands him in a swamp.
Yes. So I thought this was very ingenious when I read it.
I love, like, you see his systems. You can't see what I'm pointing at. The bottom left panel, he's noticing all the microbes, and that's fantastic. Face of the mud.
And then just boots him to the back of the head into the mud.
And look, you can see the nodes from when he grabbed him that are broken.
Right.
That's awesome.
But all is not completely well.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
While this is happening, Brainiac says since these cities are out of his ship, they're gonna resize. So Superman flies off real quick.
But then, like any good supervillain, Brainiac, in a sense, says, you take something from me, I'm going to take something from you.
And I could be wrong, but isn't that the last we see of Brainiac?
I think so.
So he's just alive, like in the swamp?
No.
Is he?
Is he? Did they cart him somewhere?
Like maybe I missed
Star
it.
Labs or something?
Okay.
I think that's where he is. And that may be in like the next series after this that I started reading. So we get, panels of, the races against time. Superman's racing to, get cities expanded, and Supergirl's racing to stop the device from hitting the sun. And unfortunately, Brainiac has enough knowledge to know what would hurt Superman. And unfortunately, as we see the events unfold, luckily the barn.
He shot like a missile at their house or the barn.
I think it's the barn, yeah. And so they escape, and Supergirl gets the device, gets it to explode, and then you think everything is okay.
But Superman then you see, flies to the fortress.
Right.
On Kandor.
Right. But then you see Paul Kent clutching his arm. And we all know what happens at that point. And this was really, heart-wrenching to sort of read for the first time, that Clark essentially kind of saves, he saves cities, and, Ma Kent is like desperately yelling Clark. And for whatever reason, he can't hear, even though,
there's even a panel of Supergirl that kind of hints at this earlier where they first have the drone and she's like, sometimes I wish I was like you and had no memories of Krypton because I wouldn't know what I lost. Well, think about for Clark, he's watching the city grow up. It's a part of his home. He's going to be around family and his own people that's growing in front of him, like you said, while his mom's desperately calling him. So it's like one of the best moments and about to be one of the worst.
Right. And so Clark gets to see an actual piece of Krypton, in front of his very eyes. And then it takes, Ma Kent to actually yell, Jonathan, for him to, like, I don't know that he snaps out of it necessarily, but like at that point, it's instantaneous. And this panel was really interesting to me because you almost never see Superman's hair in this position, out of place. And it's because he's like pushing to his ultimate limit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the next panel is the last one, so I don't think we did see Brainiac again in this.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember if it was that or if it was another series I was reading that some supervillain gets taken away to a maximum security place only to escape later.
This is something you probably hear me mention a ton on my channel or live streams about this era of DC. The last couple of years leading up to, before they rebooted. But think about it as a Superman fan, like something you always start to dream about is like, what if that Bottle City got big again? And now we get to see it. And I think there's a period of time where they're, there, and then it leads to the new Krypton story, which then leads to like War of the Supermen, and there may be another story I'm missing in there somewhere. And it all starts with this Brainiac. And man, from here all the way till like right at the very end, it's like walking Superman. He just walks around.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to trash talk that story, but like going from this stuff to that was like, what the heck? But discounting walking Superman, one of the best, most interesting eras of Superman, and really across DC, it felt like every character or character family was taking a step forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like real progression. So for anyone watching that hasn't read that, look up Brainiac and just follow it all the way through the new Krypton storylines. It's great stuff.
Yeah, and what's great, especially if you have a DC Universe subscription, is they have broken those into their own like little chunks.
Yeah, I think it was Action. That was Luther. One of them follows these people in Nightwing and Flamebird. Because during the new Krypton storyline, other than Superman and Supergirl, like no Kryptonians are allowed on Earth.
Okay.
Because of the whole ordeal of the whole city of them showing up.
Right.
Well, what threw me off going into Rebirth, I think it was General Zod's son was named Chris, and Lois and Clark like adopt him.
Yeah.
And he's Nightwing in this. For those that don't know, Batman's Nightwing got his name from that legend. They're going off that legend, fighting crime on Earth. And when Rebirth and everything and John showed up, I wasn't buying new comics because I didn't agree with their reboots. But just seeing pictures, I'm like, oh, Chris is in it now. Like, I had no idea there was like an actual son or anything.
Yeah.
I just thought it was General Zod's kid they adopted.
Nice. So yeah. So in summary, what did you think?
Oh, this is perfection to me. Like, these stories would get a 5 out of 5, a 10 out of 10, however we would rate it.
Right.
Because you have the killer art of Gary Frank and you have Jeff Johns. That, like I said, the amount of action, you talk about the amount of information that was given. They gave a whole new rewrite to Brainiac's origin, but it took the time to touch on a lot of different characters, their personality, and it kept paying off. Like, here's Cat Grant, and then like here's Cat Grant, and Supergirl's making observations about her fake boobs. Like, it keeps paying out. To me, that's just great storytelling because it pulls you in, and you like or have a strong dislike for every single character in that story.
Right. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. Like, as again, someone who is catching up on this stuff for the first time, like, this is the stuff that I want. And I don't mean to, you know, dog or, you know, say anything bad about current Superman or the Superman we just had from Bendis.
Yeah.
But the entirety of this new Superman, like, I appreciate that they're going to, well, Action is featuring Mongol and stuff like that, but like, you know, the end of the Bendis run was just an alien, you know, like that in the
Oh, yeah.
end didn't necessarily matter.
It's showing up in Justice League now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Sinmar or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they'll get fleshed out a little bit more
but Bendis is
now.
writing Justice League
Oh,
too.
well, there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
And like the Red Mist and stuff. And so the entirety of his run, I was excited just to see like a Brainiac or, you
yeah.
know, Metallo or whatever, even though they've been done 100 times before. So it's for me like coming back to the 2000s era and having a story like this is just like, yes, like this is exactly what I want in my Superman.
Not to take anything away from New 52 stories, but unless you've read this stuff, I don't think anyone ever really gets why I'm so disappointed in new stories or where New 52 went. It's like you're talking about how much you like this and how it's, if you read all the way through, it affects the whole Superman family. It feels like there's progression. And then we just go to New 52 and it's like all that's gone.
Right.
And it's like since New 52, you keep wanting stories like this Brainiac story and you never get it. You
Right.
know, it's going in weird directions.
Exactly. So yeah, so that was great. And yeah.
But yeah, real quick, I'd rate this and almost counting what comes after this, Brainiac, All Star Superman, and Death are probably like my tied for first of Superman stories.
All right. All
So
right. Yeah, this is great, and it's definitely made me continue on. I've already started reading, you know,
yeah,
you know, continuing the storyline. So
Luthor gets a great stretch of action. That's a
okay,
fantastic run too. Yeah,
great. Yeah, so like that's one of the things that I've done here recently is I've narrowed my search, or I've narrowed my collecting again, and I'm pretty much almost exclusively outside of these new titles I showed earlier. Uh, for back issues, just Superman now. So that's all the space I have,
yeah, like
and
the
that's
era you
really,
collected was good, and like I said, almost 2006-7 up to 2011. Flashpoint is another great era.
yeah,
Like that era of DC, 2006 to like 11, and like just after Crisis, maybe right before the first Crisis, up to about when you quit collecting. To me, those are the two best eras. And with Superman, there's good stuff in between.
right.
There's interesting stuff too, like Superman Red and Blue. I'd probably be angry as could be if they were doing that now.
Yeah,
But when you could go back and pick it up for 50 cents or a dollar, it's cool
right.
they did it,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff.
So yeah, so I'm happy I read this because it for lack of a better term, it gives me a focus now. Like I'm going tomorrow to like find these like issues.
Oh, in his new boxes, I didn't notice the Brainiac, but there's a lot of new Krypton.
Okay.
And I think I saw like a lot of the what would just be after this, like the uh Alex Ross covers.
Right.
So I
Good.
can't remember where they are to tell you now, but in the new in the new section.
Yeah. Oh,
So
what's up, Flash?
so do we you still gonna show something at the end, or
Yeah, I got
it's been so long since we've done this?
right. Uh, well, I was going to show uh, a book that you just picked up. I just picked it up as well, and that was the Lois and uh,
Oh really?
Superman number 8 or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna show too.
Yeah, but I'll show something similar to that.
So yeah, I went ahead and grabbed that off eBay there's so many keys now for every character. I forget exactly what this is. I think it's the first time he wears an outfit.
I would agree with that given the cover.
Yeah, I think it's the first time he's Superboy. So
Yeah, I'm interested to read Superman Red and Blue.
yeah, like I was saying, Gretzky, if it was happening now, it would drive me crazy. But I pick most of mine up for 40 cents, 50 cents. So in a way, I'm glad they did it because it's kind of cool. But it would drive me nuts if it was happening right now. It'd be like, get it over with, put them back
Yeah.
together.
So similarly, I also picked up that same day because now I have credit at STL, so I'm just going like whatever.
Show off.
I'm going whatever. Well, you sell a part of your childhood and you get you get some credit for it. Convergence number 2,
Yeah.
which is the first appearance
Yeah,
of John Kent.
Yeah, it's I mean, DC Comics is not Marvel. We don't have these huge blow ups like the Jonathan Kent key ain't gonna be like Miles Morales and be $5,000 or something. It might go from $1 Ben to $25.
Right.
But keeping that in mind, with Jonathan being in the show, I'd say now is as good a time as any for people that don't have to get these books they're showing. And like the first 6 issues or so of the Rebirth run, and you'll pretty much have all the Jonathan Kent keys.
Yeah.
Got that, Lois. The first issue of this. Well, what was cool about this is, for those that don't know, this brought back the Superman from the. I believe it was called New Earth. New Earth is DC Comics from the Crisis to Flashpoint. So that Superman that was Superman all that time came to the New 52 world, and that's what we were seeing in this story. Is that story of that happening? So if you're a huge fan of that Superman, which I am, this is a great story to read, sort of setting up them coming into the New 52 universe.
So that's prior to New 52? That
It
storyline?
happened,
Or is it before Rebirth?
like, I think it's prior to Rebirth.
Okay.
What's the date on it? July 2016. So no, this probably was happening as Rebirth started.
Right.
But yeah, and of course, in fact, it would have to, because you just showed that Convergence issue, which was in between
right.
New 52 and Rebirth. But yeah, it's because spoiler, like the New 52 Superman died,
Yeah.
and then you find out that they had been here pretty much the whole time, but in hiding, and then he becomes Superman, and that's when you find out about John. Like, what's cool about Convergence, I'm not going to say all those stories were great because they weren't, but you get to see a lot of characters you care about if you love the DC universe. Like, for instance, you saw the Superman from New Earth from 85 to 2011 having a baby. Like, that's awesome. Like, if that was the last time you saw him, that's a great ending, right?
Right.
But over time, some of those twists like that find their way into the main universe. Like, so it's worth checking out Convergence if you haven't as well.
Yeah, I started reading Action Rebirth, and like the first couple issues was like weird because it was the New 52. Superman had died and he was taking over his place and all that kind of stuff. But
well, like I said, I wasn't buying New, but I was aware that's who it was, and like I said, I thought it was Chris with them because it was they had Chris at the end of that.
So the Convergence that I did pick up at the time, I was pretty much exclusively like a Flash reader at that point. So I picked up the Convergence Flash issues, and then there was
Speed Force,
because that was Wally.
Okay.
And all I could say through those 2 issues was like, I want Wally back in the DCU.
Yeah, we were supposed to get something similar when Future State happened.
Oh, right.
Because Future State was supposed to be the new reboot, right?
Yeah.
So we were supposed to get another convergence-like thing that would take 2 months, but instead they changed plans and took the scrapped 5G and made it Future State. And Josh Williamson got his Infinite Frontier going instead. I would have been. I'm interested to know, did any of that stuff get made? Like, was there like a second convergence? Like, what exactly was it? I'd like to read that.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, it's about an hour and a half, which is like
real quick before you go,
yeah.
you got to do a haul video. You're pulling all these Superman keys, and
I
you're
know.
getting good stuff. So
I
leave a comment on this video for Lawson so he makes a haul.
We'll see what I get tomorrow and see if I have time to make a haul. My toddler keeps me really busy.
I bet.
So anyway, real quick, you want to shout out your socials? Not that anyone doesn't already know them.
Comic Collector, as you see on YouTube, Tim_the Comic Collector on Instagram. I've been doing some hauls on my channel. This show, of course, and Fanboys will be this Sunday on Comic Food's channel, so come check that out.
Sweet. And I am Jason, aka Retrotigo. You're on my channel, so this is my channel, and then also on Instagram, where I'll post more frequently than videos on my YouTube channel these days. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for everyone who stuck around live, and anyone else who will watch this afterwards. We really appreciate it. Apologies for the 4-month delay. Just life.
Yeah.
Just straight up life. And hopefully we can get to these a little bit more frequently. And because this has been awesome. I really enjoy doing these. Definitely. And taking a look at stories I haven't read before. So anyway, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Have a safe weekend. And talk to you later.